Hello, it's Rani Yoga Devi coming to you from my home in Leamington. Today was a lovely day. It was hot and muggy, and that's summer in southern Ontario. It's hot and muggy, but it was exceptionally hot and muggy today. Um, so that's why my hair is done up. My dad did it. My dad's a hairdresser, by the way, and my mother is an esthetician. And after they finished work today, we went home and mom made dinner, and then we went to hear some music. And this time of year in this area, there's a lot of outdoor music, which is lovely. And so we went to the Marina to listen to some music. So there's about 100 beautiful boats over the water, and it's just a beautiful view no matter what direction you look. The marina has done a wonderful job of hanging beautiful hanging baskets and putting out tables that have umbrellas over them and all of that, and music outside on top of that. It was just a lovely evening. Watching my parents dance is always a lovely thing too, because they are former competitive ballroom dancers and they can really dance. And when they dance, people do this. They can't take their eyes off them, and it's, I don't know, I love it. I just love it. It's so wonderful to watch. And yeah, it's been hot and humid, more hot and humid than usual. And I can only imagine what it's like in countries that are traditionally hot. Um, if that's what it's like in southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, I should say. When it's hot and muggy here, the season is very short. Um, our summer just started. Summer solstice is now, and it was like last night today. And our summer is over at the end of August, and that's it. So we only get 3 months of summer, not even 3 months of summer. Almost 3 months of summer. And the rest of the year, it gets cool to cold. And we are good at dealing with that colder weather, and we're not as good at dealing with the heat and humidity. But because we're Canadians, we're like, hey, wait a minute, we braved through the cold all winter long, and we prayed for the warm weather to come, and now we're complaining about it. It's just one of those things that if you're Canadian or have lived in Canada or visited Canada in the summer and also the winter, you see the great contrast in this particular province. If you go more north, then it's not quite the same. And there are some provinces where it's very cold, like Alberta, for example. I had to go to Edmonton once to work, and oh, it was cold. It was really cold. When you want to feel the cold, feel like you're cold in a hot place, think about Alberta. It's very cold. Anyhow, it's just so nice to appreciate simple things like dancing, like music, like performers who, are available to do these outdoor gigs. It's kind of fun. And there is something else I wanted to mention today. Something that I saw on social media. I saw this post and I thought it was gorgeous. It was this man who was, two men actually together, and they were dancing. One man was a black man. And he was that beautiful mahogany skinned, just beautiful. Looked like mahogany that had been oiled. He just looked beautiful, like a piece of sculpture. I don't know if you remember Grace Jones, but do you remember Grace Jones? And if you don't know who Grace Jones is, Google her. She had that same kind of beautiful mahogany skin, and she just looked like a piece of art. She just was gorgeous to look at, and I did meet her in person once in Jamaica, in Ocherios, Jamaican, for the Jamaicans out there, so she was going out with Dolph Lundgren at the time, who was also this tall, muscular man, and they were walking down the beach. We're sitting on the beach when we first saw them, and we just watched them go by. It was like watching two statues moving, and it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible to see. And we found out later that she's from Jamaica and was renting a villa very close by. And we did see her again, and I actually did talk to her. And I found out that her family wrote her off because she was singing music, and they're a very religious family, and they wrote her off completely, would not speak to her at all because she was in the music industry. That is very, very sad. So back to the mahogany man. This beautiful mahogany man who's the same beautiful skin tone as Grace Jones had. He is on the beach and he's dancing to some Latin American music with a man who looks like he could maybe be Greek or something like that. And they're just dancing barefoot on a beach, and they have bathing suits on. And I made a comment, oh, beautiful, mahogany's beautiful skin, and blah, blah, blah. One person writes me back and says, oh, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I said, it reminds me a little bit of Grace Jones. And that person writes me back and says, oh, that's who I was thinking of. Thank you for jogging my memory. And then a little while later, I get a response that was disturbing, to say the very least. It was just 3 words. Shame on them. And I'm like, what? Shame on them for what? For dancing? The assumption that she'd made was that they must be gay. And even if they are, who cares? Are you sleeping with them? Are they passing diseases on to you? No, they're not, honey. You have no right judging somebody else from a video. Or for any other matter, live your life and let others live theirs. I guess they didn't learn that. Live and let live. And I guess they also didn't learn that if you haven't got anything nice to say, honey, zip it. They didn't learn that either. I just don't understand what is wrong with people today that think that they can go on a social media post and just trash people for no good reason, who are doing nothing that should be judged. Men all over the world dance together. In Greece, in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, in Poland in groups, in so many places, just so many places. There's cultural dances that men do together. Arabic men dance together. And I'm just shaking my head going, this woman is so terribly ignorant and definitely doesn't dance. Because if she had any dance training whatsoever, she'd be a little better educated. But anyways, all this to say, don't engage too much with people like that on social media, because they aren't worth your time. You can put them in your place and then walk. Because people like that, prejudiced people, ignorant people, they're a dime a dozen. But the good people, that's who you want to pay attention to. All those other people who commented, like, it wasn't my post, somebody else's post. It was just these men dancing, and it was gorgeous. It was really gorgeous to watch them dancing. It was like happy Latin American music, and I just don't understand people who are that prejudiced. It's just not how my head works at all. I live in Canada. I lived in Toronto for 38 years, where it's the most multicultural place on the face of the earth. I absolutely loved being able to go for Ethiopian food, to be able to go for Chinese, Japanese, you name it, any kind of food, any kind of music, any kind of anything that I wanted to try. Look it up, go there. Turkish, you name it. You name it. I've tried it. I've been there. I've done it. I've experienced the culture. And that's what people who are ignorant need to do. They need to wake up and get off of their butts and travel and go somewhere and meet people from different cultures and wake up to the beauty of the cultures around them, the beauty of the people around them. We wouldn't have ourselves sitting on the brink of World War III if people knew a little bit about each other's cultures and had some love for their fellow human beings. It's really as simple as that. So if you've got some people who are prejudiced around you, do your part and slowly, gently educate them to realize that if they were in a different part of the world, it would be them that would be being judged. But boy, if you live in the Western world, we need people to come here to work. We need some immigrants. We need some skilled labor, because we don't have enough people to do certain work. Like where I live, I'm in a agricultural town full of greenhouses and fields. The fields need to be plowed and planted, and the crops need to be picked. The greenhouses need to be staffed, because there aren't enough young people or adults to do that here. You know, there just aren't enough. So we bring people in from the Caribbean and from South America and from Central America. We do not have the manpower to run all of these farms by ourselves. We just don't. And where do you think your food comes from, people? Where do you think your food comes from? In Canada, it comes from communities like mine. And most of that work is done by immigrants and temporary workers who come here on a visa for 6 months or more, go back home, take the money to their families, give the money to their parents, stay with their family, enjoy their family and their culture and their friends for a little while, and then get back on a plane and come back here again. And quite frankly, we owe all of the business that we do and our food being produced here to these people who come here to work. So, the next time you hear somebody talking negatively about an immigrant, especially if they're from South America, Central America, or in the Caribbean, and they're working in the farm industry, the agricultural industry, the food industry, give your head a shake, because they're probably contributing as much, if not more, to our economy than you are. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I'm so tired of people being precious. And it's like, just a post like that reminds you of the odd person who just, well, I don't want to go downtown anymore because there's always where all the immigrants are hanging out. Well, guess what? Because people were not going downtown for decades. They left all these stores open that then turned into stores and restaurants that serve the community of people who come and work here. There's lots of businesses downtown that still serve the larger community, not the ethnic communities. But the other thing is that if you're Canadian, you don't have to go back too far to find your immigrant relatives who came here and started a new life for themselves. I am a third generation Canadian. On my mom's side, they were Quakers. On one side of the family, Quaker, and the other side, they were from Switzerland. My dad's family, again, third generation on that side too, and they're British from England. Immigrants, third generation. So if you're third generation immigrant, what right do you have picking on other immigrants who just got here more recently than you did? Like, what right do you have? That's what Canada's about. It's about this cultural diversity. And if you don't get that, the loss is yours. Anyhow, that's about all I have to say for tonight. It just felt like it was really something I had to get off my chest, because prejudice is something that really, really disturbs me. I didn't like the prejudice against those two guys dancing. People assuming that they were gay, and even if they are, who cares? What business is it of ours? I don't like prejudice against immigrants and temporary workers who come here to do work that people here aren't willing to or able to do. But like, if you actually see these people working in the fields, they're strong. They are fit. They are in much better shape than most of the men who are here in Canada. Honestly, it just blows my mind. No, to watch them work, heavy things they're picking up and moving with great ease, and the Canadians just, wow, we've had an easy time of it. We really have had an easy time of it. And like, we've worked and we get good educations, we get good jobs and stuff like that. Things have changed a little bit since COVID, but generally Canadians do pretty well. We're not hugely rich or anything, but we generally in Canada do pretty well. We pay too much taxes, but we do pretty well compared to a lot of other countries and have really no right to complain. Except about somebody with initials JT, but other than that, Canada's pretty good. But we do need to vote somebody else in as our PM. That's for sure. Thank you for your time. Don't usually get into politics, but you know, today's the day. Have yourselves a wonderful week. Take good care. Bye-bye for now.